It's what's in your wallet.
I'm so old.
I'm going to give it a 1 out of 5 explosive hot dog carts.
Ritualistic blood magic.
Laser shooting chesty statues.
Don't watch movies unless we tell you to.
Arr! Welcome to Movies with My Best Friend, the best movie podcast on the high seas.
Because we watched a movie with the water.
Yeah.
I'm your host, Phil Kessel. I'm not a pirate. I know that was very convincing.
And neither is anyone in the movie we watched.
Yeah.
Aren't they all, though? We'll get into that.
Okay.
We'll go there, everyone. Don't worry. Joined as always by 2 of my best shipmates. My 2 first mates. Is one of you the yeoman? Who's the captain? Will Chodas is here.
Thanks.
Are you the captain?
What is a yeoman? I've heard it before, but I realize
they
I don't know
stand
what
in
it
the crow's
is.
nest and they go, "Yo, there's land."
Yo, man, there's land.
I think that's it.
Yeah, I think that
Craig's
sounds historically
shaking his
accurate.
head.
Yeah.
Craig Norland is here. I feel like he was around during these times, and I'm wondering if he has a better grasp on what a yeoman does.
No, it just you like the guy up in there and saying "yo" just made me laugh. Do you guys have a favorite pirate movie?
I just want to say I googled yeoman. It's a man holding and cultivating a small landed estate.
That's what I thought.
I don't think it has anything to do with pirates.
Yeah,
I don't know why I thought it did.
I know.
You confused me.
Isn't that something? Doesn't matter.
I'm getting this information from Ed, and Eddie.
Oh boy.
I knew there was a pretty good chance it was wrong.
Yeah.
Favorite pirate movie, though?
Pirate movies.
Oh.
I mean, it's sort of the franchise like really went way downhill after.
Oh no, I mean just like pirates in general. It doesn't have to be Pirates of the Caribbean. Sorry.
I didn't think that's what you were saying. I was just going to say, like, my answer is pretty basic, but like the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie, like,
yeah,
like I remember like being in maybe high school or like middle school and like not at a point in my life where I was openly like pretending to be pirates with my friends anymore, going and playing pirates in like John Havenhill's backyard.
Yeah.
Like,
so you were a closeted pirate.
Well, we just were like this movie was just so cool when it came out and so fun that like, yeah.
Can I give you 2 that might not count?
Yeah.
Okay. Treasure Planet.
Yeah.
I think
the
that counts.
I
animated.
accept it.
Okay. And then Porco Rosso.
Oh.
That's like pretty.
I don't remember enough about it.
Yeah, me
It's
either.
pretty piratey.
Yeah.
But I feel like Treasure Planet fits.
All I remember about Porco
better.
Rosso is that the main character was a pig and nobody talked about it.
Yeah, he had a curse put on him.
Yeah, I know, but it was just sort of like, yeah, but that's like a talking pig, and nobody
You're not
seems
supposed to talk about people's curses.
I know. I understand. Like, I live in 2024. I know we're not supposed to, like, shame, like, we're not supposed to. But, like, I feel like at a certain point you'd be going, like, why isn't anyone saying that he's a f***ing pig? Can we just, like literally a pig? Like,
yeah.
why are we ignoring this? Like, something has gone wrong. Anyways. Craig,
mine's got to be Muppet Treasure Island.
That's my number 2. That's my number 2.
I gotta. So Treasure Island or Treasure Planet would be the other choice. I really like that story.
Yeah, it's
Treasure
a great story.
Island. I think it's a very classic story.
Yeah, it is the pirate story. It's the only reason why pirates talk the way they talk and we act like pirates are what they are.
Wait, how do they talk? Do you happen to have a pitch perfect audio representation of how one of them talks?
No, but maybe you do.
What? It was at the beginning of the episode. You're supposed to say good. Because I did it.
Oh, is that what you were doing?
Yeah.
You were doing an impression. I thought you were doing the SpongeBob SquarePants announcer guy.
You mean the guy dressed as a pirate?
Was that what he was dressed as?
Yeah, he's wearing the quintessential pirate hat.
Oh, all right. Yeah, you know.
Egg on your face. I'm the perfect pirate.
That's right. Yes. I'm definitely the fool in this.
Yes. As always. I'm never the fool.
But no, like I read somewhere that the whole like pirate accent, the "arg me hearties," is just based off the first actor to ever play. Oh, I already said this, didn't I?
Yeah, you did.
So.
Okay.
Like a week ago.
Oh.
Like it was like 2 episodes ago.
Yeah, I mean, we
on the podcast. Man.
Yeah. This is were you not aware that we repeat things all the time?
I was. Yeah.
I was just letting it happen.
Yeah.
I just want to hang out with my friends.
Yeah. Anywho, so we didn't watch a pirate movie.
No.
But here's the thing: the pirates are always going on and on and on about booty. And what's interesting about booty is that they don't mean your butt, which was confusing for me as a child.
Hold up.
No, they don't. No, they actually mean treasure or money or gold. And see, now
But
in modern days, we don't use gold.
Yeah, but I don't keep my money in my butt.
That's true, but here's what's interesting, which I find
Speak for yourself.
Yeah.
This is proof that everything is
You're so
connected and the world is probably flat. Is
Ice wall.
we now have money notes actually, which denote how much gold they are worth. So it's actually like this interesting thing where we're like, hey, we're not actually going to exchange gold anymore. We're going to say that we have this gold, but then we're going to get rid of the whole gold thing and just do the paper thing. And now we're just going to be all electronics. So like now it's not even that you have anything more. It's just like little bits of things going up on a computer somewhere. And you're like, I know I have more money and things keep showing at my house, but like, I don't know what I don't really have money. Like everything is so intangible now. Anyways, sometimes there's something that goes next to your booty that houses all the little electronical chips and things.
Pants
so
pocket.
your booty becomes in your booty. You get booty on your booty or in your booty.
Pants pocket.
Pants pocket. But
you can't just raw dog it in the pants pocket. You got to put it into something, right?
You know what term I hate more than anything?
I said it the other day, and Jack got really mad.
I wonder why.
I use it at work, not in a professional manner, just when I'm talking to my coworkers.
You know,
Phil,
locker
you should
room
be fired.
Yeah, 100% I should be.
Okay. It's a wallet, guys. It's a wallet.
I
think somehow it was a wallet. So that's right. It's time for the segment where we reach deep into our best friend's pants and whip out some recommendations. It's what's in your wallet. So Craig, you're always prepared. What you got in your wallet?
So the Oscars are coming up, and most of you don't give a which is fine with me.
And the correct response.
Yes, but I find them very entertaining because it's just it is just a popularity contest, but it does get people talking about movies, which I think is very important.
True.
So I have they're coming. It's like March 10th or something. So I think by the next episode it'll be past that. So I have been watching some Oscar movies, so I just want to mention a couple.
So just so you know, this episode that we're recording now is going to come out on the 4th, so it'll be that weekend, right?
Okay. So
yes.
Yes.
Maybe.
Sort of.
Maybe.
I don't know.
No, I'm looking at this all wrong. Yes, yeah, it'll be that weekend. Yes, I'm correct.
Okay.
I was right. I was looking at the wrong thing, but it was the correct information.
So I've been watching some movies, and they're all old. A little bit of whiplash if you're watching recent movies, and then you start watching stuff.
Pretty sure Whiplash isn't a contender.
Anyway, so the first one I watched is the winner from 1979. It's Kramer versus Kramer.
Oh, yeah.
And that is a movie with, you can edit out my because now I'm not prepared. Justin Hoffman and Meryl Streep, and they are getting divorced. and it's very sad, but it's a lot about being a single dad, taking care of a kid, because she just like walks out on them, and then she comes back. She's like, I want the kid now. And so they get into a big legal thing, and it's really ugly. And again, it's pretty sad. So I think that it's probably a good one to watch if you're trying to process some trauma from if your parents went through a divorce, or friends of yours went through a divorce, something like that. I guess that's why it did so well, is they'd have like teenagers going to it.
What about if like you're trying to process that like work's kind of a little too busy and like sometimes you're a little stressed?
Uh-huh.
But like ultimately things are pretty good. Would it work for that?
I think Pirates of the Caribbean would actually work better.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. The other two I'll mention is the winner from, I believe it was 1950. Yeah, 1950, All About Eve. No?
I don't know. I don't know it.
Nothing?
Never heard of that. I mean, I might have.
It's one of those like films that every other film references, because it's about a fading actress who gets an admirer who basically is a hanger-on, but she starts like stealing her life so she can be an actress.
I do know. I've not seen it, but I do know of this movie. The way you described it, and then I just looked it up. Yes.
Yeah, so this has been copied many, many times, or at least homaged. But it's Betty Davis, and I don't remember the girl.
Margot Channing.
And that's not. It's Ann Baxter, right?
Ann Baxter.
Yeah. Sorry. When
Margot
you said
Channing's a character.
Like, wait, that's the character name.
I'm just reading names. Don't listen to me.
I like that one a lot. It's old, so it's long. So take that as you will. I have a thing for 70s movies, so I think Kramer versus Kramer kind of hit me the right way when I saw that. The least out of the bunch for me was probably All the King's Men. This was a year before, 1949. This is about, well, tell me if this sounds familiar, a very charismatic political candidate who convinces a bunch of yokels to vote for him because he's just like them. And then he's super corrupt, and a lot of bad stuff happens that involves murder and intimidation. And then he almost gets impeached, and then someone shoots him. Spoiler alert.
Cool.
Yeah, anyway, so I was watching it, and then all of a sudden all clicked. I'm like, uh-oh.
Yeah, we learned nothing. It's almost like movies aren't as important as I want them to be.
They remade it in 2006.
Didn't work then either, I'm assuming.
Really? Didn't work. No. They miscast that one. It was like Sean Penn playing the guy, and he does not look the part at all. So I like it only because there are some good parts. The guy who plays the candidate, because you start out liking him because he's very charismatic. He's like, I'm here for the little guy. You know, these people are kind of trying to keep us down, and you actually really like him, and he's a good guy. Then he just goes corrupt so quickly. He can play it both sides. So yeah, that's my general Oscar rundown. I have a lot of them I haven't seen. Most of them are really old. I have trouble with silent movies. I think most people do.
Just put music on.
Okay. Organ music.
Yeah. Hurdy-gurdy.
Yeah. So anyway, that's enough of me talking. I'm pretty sure everyone just turned off the episode right there.
It's not enough. Give me more. How do you have a list going of like all the ones you've seen versus all the ones you have not seen, and are you checking them off?
Yeah. Yep.
What's your percentage? What, not exact, just like give me a proportion. An approximation.
I've probably seen 40%, I would say.
Oh, wow. I would have thought more. But
yeah, I mean, I've seen a good amount from each decade. Especially the 80s is...
I didn't mean that to sound like I'm disappointed in you.
No. It's like everything from the 90s on, I basically seen.
But I am.
There's just a few of them I haven't. But like the 80s are weird. They're very weepy and overlong, like Gandhi and Last Emperor of China. I love Terms of Endearment.
Terms of Rampagement.
Chariots of Fire, they're Driving Miss Daisy, Rain Man. So those are movies that I think most people kind of agree are not the best pictures that came out. So the 80s were weird. 70s were basically all good. I mean, you have The Godfather's in there. Yeah.
Anyway, it's so weird because the best picture thing is like interesting, but only so far, because it's like this is the best picture winner of the year. Is it the best movie that came out this year? Probably not, actually. Is it the most culturally important movie that came out this year? Also, probably not.
Yeah.
So
what the most. I've read websites where it's like, this is what won, this is what we think should have won, and it wasn't even nominated. It's like stuff like that I really like. I just bought a book about the politics behind the Oscars through the years.
And to me, like, I always find they always leave fantasy and like popcorn movies off. You know what I mean? I still to this day believe that Infinity War should have won Best Picture, simply because it was the culmination of so many movies, and the fact that it wasn't complete dog is one of the greatest triumphs of all time. Just the fact that it had a cohesive story, that it handled so many big characters, big names, big faces, and it like stands alone, and like it gave us like the best Marvel villain of all the villains. Like that to me, like that, like the fact that it like, animated movies are usually overlooked. Fantasy movies are always overlooked. Comic book movies are never even considered. So I find it to be always like, right, but like what was the most movie, not the most theater, not the most like culturally sort of like touch pointy, just like the most movie of that year. You know what I mean? The movie that you sit down and you eat a lot of popcorn to, and maybe has weak points here and there, but it's just fun. That's sort of.
Let me offer a counterpoint though. What if they're right and you're wrong?
Obviously, like my opinion doesn't matter at all. So.
It matters to me.
Oh, okay.
So I wanted to offer 2 points, and then we can move on because we've been on this too long as it is. Sure. I apologize. Things are getting better.
Never
Everything,
apologize.
Everywhere, All at Once won.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Parasite won. There's been very like more interesting genre films. I mean, Lord of the Rings won.
Yeah, I was about to say like Lord of the Rings really broke open the whole fantasy thing. Like people were like, well, actually, like these are like really good. And like Dark Knight came out, and it didn't get anything, right? And like.
No, it didn't get nominated.
Yeah, people were like, "You made him like, guys. This is like best
Heath Ledger got it.
Yeah, that's right.
Posthumous.
Yeah.
Everyone complains about.
To be honest, just one note on that. I don't think Heath Ledger would have got it if he hadn't died. Do you know what I mean? I feel like the reason why he died is part of the reason why it's sort of like. I mean, to be fair, him dying also elevated that movie to this weird level because his performance was so good and it was his last performance. It added this like extra level of like drama to it. Like not in a very non-cynical way. It wasn't like the marketers are like, oh, let's jump on.
Let's capitalize on this. Although they might have. They're bad people. More than likely.
Yeah, that's true. But still, I just... anyways, tangent.
So last point I'll make is everyone talks about how, the popular movies don't win anything anymore.
Yeah.
Or it's never been that case. Until like the early to mid 2000s, whatever like one of the highest grossing movies was that year would be the best picture winner. Like Kramer versus Kramer, that was the biggest box office hit of 1979, which is nuts. It's a movie about divorce. versus just a couple of years before they have Star
Super
Wars.
exciting summer blockbuster.
Exactly.
Well,
I mean, Jaws
in a
already
world
come
where
out.
two people get divorced.
But I do think that is a good point. Like, but in the 70s, around that time, that was the invention of the summer blockbuster. Like, it all happened in that 70s time where that you saw. I think that was like the fracturing, the split was around that time when movies like Star Wars and Jaws and like, they were popular for people to watch, and all the slasher films and all that stuff. That was all that era where those were coming out, and so that was the Divergent, I would think. I don't know. It'd be an interesting to
the
kind of look at.
Divergent was a trilogy of movies like
Shut
way
up,
more
Bill.
recently.
But like, I think Titanic's the only one
Yes.
somewhat recently. In Lord of the Rings, Gladiator. There's a couple of them that kind of stand out box office wise, but like The Hurt Locker's like the lowest grossing movie ever to win. And it's been like that for most of the films.
Bummer.
Well, I mean, it's also showed. Okay, around the 70s and later in the 80s and the 90s, we saw a very high rise in anti-intellectualism in this country. So there is this whole like, Oscar movies are for the snobbish and the snooty and the artists and the blah blah blah. Which is also not true. It's just everything is wrong and broken, and we should just stop trying. Hey, Phil, what's in your wallet?
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay, let me cheer you guys up. So imagine if
cheer.
you will.
I thought you said chew us up, and I was like, I don't know what that means.
Let me
Oh,
chew
that's
you guys
like
up.
chew. I thought it was
sons
chew.
of bitches. No, let me cheer you guys up. Imagine if you will.
It sounded the same this time. too.
We're living in the future, and there are like fully sentient robots,
Mhm.
right? And some of them are made into like mass destructive war machines fighting in this war in Central Asia. That war ends, not exactly peaceably, but you've got a robot, who then like decides he doesn't want to fight anymore, and he decides he wants to learn how to play piano. And that's like a really cool story. And then it gets really sad after that. So my recommendation, what's in my wallet? I've been watching this show called Pluto on Netflix. It's an anime. It's based on a manga. It's the coolest show I've seen in a long time. It's all about robots,
Wait,
and
is
humanity.
it about a robot dog?
Oh God,
Pluto?
there is an episode with a robot dog. Basically, every episode of this show makes me almost cry. It is a really emotional show that is about robots who can't process emotion the way that humans do. But like the whole show, you're kind of learning that like robots are people too. And it's just really, man, it's really amazing. And it's really, the action's pretty fun, but then like the philosophical things that it's getting into without like hammering it. Oh, like I feel like it's not like hammering it into you like, hey, we're having a debate about our robots people, and it's just these like really interesting, touching moments that you get. And the first episode has like 2 moments where you're like, oh man, I'm really sad now. And then every episode after that has a moment where you're like, am I about to cry? And you are about to cry because it's very sad. But also it's like there's a really cool, there's some hopefulness in it. And just a lot of like, it's also like a murder mystery that you're trying to solve. And man, it's so many awesome. I'm too excited to talk coherently about it, obviously. It's just really, really cool.
Is this just Astro Boy?
I want to say it may be tangentially related, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I was trying
there
to
is
figure
a small child that is one of the characters that does look a lot like Astro Boy. It is based at least in part on Astro Boy. I'm looking at the Wikipedia right now.
Oh yeah, the kid even has Astro Boy's hair, but like in regular person hair.
Yeah, not.
Yeah, where it like sticks up right in the front and in the back. But I mean that's cool. Astro Boy is cool.
Yeah, it's just like you get all these dope robots, and then it's got that like Iron Giant vibe of like, oh, I don't need to be a weapon.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to fight. I want to be. The robot wants to learn how to play piano, and I just think that's really cool.
Yeah, some of the like darkest, like most like not philosophically like sort of like deadening when you watch it stuff comes out of anime.
Yeah.
Which is like so funny because like I grew up watching anime and my parents would be like, oh, this is this like, loud, brightly colored children's show. And then like they'd like walk away and that would be the time like somebody like murdered their like daughter or something, just like so dark. And like people, and it's just like a robot going like, am I human? And it's just like, yeah. Like I just think of like Full Metal Alchemist, where like these two young boys try to like bring their mom back and just like accidentally mutilate their bodies in the process. And it's just, and then like
you get lured into like a false sense of nothing bad will happen because we're American and cartoons don't have bad things happen.
Yeah,
but then like.
And even
they end up being violent and dark and gruesome and gritty and like scary.
But then the next moment, there's like slapstick stuff. So like, I've always Yeah,
I love it because it's so, to me, it feels so real to do that. And I feel like we've talked about this with some movies where like the juxtaposition of something like really goofy and happy and then immediately into something bad is like life does that all the time. And it does the flip of that all the time.
And we as
getting
American,
to see that in an animated medium where it can heighten the emotion by like, yes, I am in this situation. I've said this dumb thing, and it's so dumb that I feel like I should flip over and land on my head immediately. But I can't do that in real life. But I'm watching a TV show, and the kid in the anime says something very dumb and gets embarrassed, and then immediately flips.
Yeah.
And like crash lands on his head, and then his face is like blue, and you're like, I've been there.
Yeah.
I've felt this.
Yeah, and I've said this before, but American audiences, we're very cynical. Like we watch stuff and like, we're the only one who like will watch a Batman movie and go like, this doesn't feel realistic. And you're like, you're watching a Batman movie. All of this is stupid. Like it's all stupid. That's not a bad thing, So I've always had a problem, like especially with like, I felt like the 2000s, like right after 9/11, that sort of era, we were very much like, we don't have fun anymore.
Everything had to be a gritty remake or gritty reboot or gritty reimagining.
And it's like, we're going to use 4 colors. They're going to be green, dirt, mud, brown, tan, and orange. Those are the 4 colors we're using, and it's going to be all of our movies. Especially if it takes place in Mexico, then it's only orange and brown.
Yep.
You go south of the border and there's a filter. And if there's
a south of the border filter and there's a music.
And if there's anything Middle Eastern, you hear the morning prayer in a threatening way.
Yeah.
Sorry.
In an aggressive way.
Anyways. I went to that whole like morning prayer thing. I was in Dearborn shooting a thing for a school, and they started doing, they play it a few times a day. It's just part of the religion. And like it started playing and I was like, why am I nervous? And I was like, oh no, 24 bad.
24, you son of a bitch.
You bastard.
Jack Bauer.
You made me think that something bad was about to happen if I hear this. Anyway,
I guess off pod, was that what school?
I don't remember. It wasn't my client, so I just was helping out.
Was it next to the giant mosque on Ford?
Maybe, yeah.
Okay.
Why?
I did a bunch of lighting and stuff in that school.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. No, you know what? I don't think it was Dearborn. Now that I think on it, I think it was in Hamtramck, which is close to Dearborn-ish. I'm not very smart. I didn't drive there. It wasn't my client. I like sat in the back of the car. So like I'm pretty sure I like looked out the window and I was like, "Hey, are we in Hamtramck?" Oh, been to that liquor store. And then we just kept going because Ryan Isepi lives in Hamtramck, and so I was just like, it made me sound like a drunk, but I have.
Yeah.
I too roll the liquor stores in Michigan. Anyways, so Pluto. If you are interested in a like philosophical murder mystery anime that's super cool and robots are awesome and robots are people too, go watch this and then talk to me about it. because I have one episode left and I don't want to watch it because I never want the show to end because it's so good. It's so good. I'm gonna cry. Anyways, Will.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me take a guess.
Okay.
As to what's in your wallet.
All right.
It is a Netflix adaptation of a manga, and it is about robots, and it's called Pluto.
You know what, Phil? Very close. Unfortunately,
I'm sensing next time
you spelled
when you've watched it, and then next time you recommend it because you're like, Phil, you recommended the best show I've seen in a long time.
Phil, I understand how you got here. You know, our names are very similar. They rhyme actually, but as it turns out,
Philip and Willip,
we are not the same person. So
what?
Yeah. You know what? We'll take this conversation off pod.
Okay.
But as far as what's in my wallet, it's literally nothing. I have not consumed any new media in a long time. So I'm going to take the time to talk about Pokemon. Because my son, Jack, is super into Pokemon right now, which is really cool because I was super into Pokemon as a kid. So we have been playing 2 Pokemon games, Pokemon Legends and Arceus, or however you say it, and then Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu. And I have to say, Let's Go Pikachu is really quite a terrible game. It's really fun to play with Jack because he can play a second. It's like this is like a perfect game to play with a 4-year-old who doesn't quite know how video games work yet, because you do the catch motion together, and you can do it in tangent with each other. So we can do it at the same time. So it's like fun, and you get new Pokemon and all that stuff. But for the most part, they just ruined a perfectly fine game to make it feel more of a tie-in to Pokemon Go, which is just a shame.
Yeah.
I don't know if did you guys ever play those ones?
Let's Go Pikachu?
Yeah, Let's Go Pikachu.
No.
So we my brothers and I, we all bought it because we used to play Pokemon Blue, Red, and Yellow. Ben had Yellow, I had Blue, Mike had Red, and that was what we did for
Alexa, stop.
What was that?
So apparently we activated my voice, Alexa. I don't want to say it again. And apparently she heard me talking about Pikachu because all of a sudden Pikachu started talking. It freaked me the hell out. And the last thing she said was, Pikachu is here now. And I'm like, fuck.
Is Pikachu in the room with you right now?
Pikachu? Yeah, no, anyways, we all bought it and we played it. And I was like, these, because they got rid of, it's when you go into the tall grass in the original Pokemon games, it goes like no, and you fight a Pokemon, and if you get it down to the right level of health, then you can catch it, right? But now the whole fighting them is out the window, and it's just the catching of them. So it's just a lot of catching, and it just doesn't feel right anymore. The RPG elements have been taken way down, and but it's fun to play with Jack. I'm having a great time doing that with him. I do have to, after he goes to bed, go back, because it is still an RPG and he can't read and he makes terrible choices. So I have to go and buff up all the dumb Pokemon he wants to use, because otherwise we're just gonna have incredibly frustrating next time we play. So I have to train a bunch of Jigglypuffs, and he's like one time we were playing, he was just I want all Growliths. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, I want my team to just be Growliths.
Yeah, that's a great
and I was
team.
That's never going to work, Jack. We have to go into this rock cave. Fire Pokemon don't do anything. And he's like, Growliths, Dad. Growliths.
You gotta tell him
that
Uncle Phil approves of that team, because that is my favorite Pokemon.
Yeah.
Just a team of fire dogs.
Yeah.
I'd never fight any Pokemon. I'd just hang out.
So it's been fun. But Yeah.
I'll drop off Pokemon Snap to you soon.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't matter that much because we'll just play the 64 one again, and it'll be like it's new anyways. Because enough time would have passed.
Yeah.
Just to juxtapose, like they nailed it with Legends though. Like Legends, when I started playing Arceus, I was like, this is what I always wanted. This is what Pokemon looked like in my brain. Because like you go out into the woods and there are the fields and there's just Pokemon everywhere. And you have an option. You can either do what Ash Ketchum always did, which was weird, was just throw a random Pokeball at a wild Pokemon you saw, which as a young boy who played the game and watched the anime, I was like, Ash doesn't know what the hell he's doing. Like he is one of the worst trainers ever. He gets to like he gets to the Elite Four with a Squirtle. It's like, how terrible. It evolves at level 16. How did you get here with a level 15 at most Pokemon? Anyways. Ash Ketchum.
Friendship.
Through the power of friendship. We were watching an episode, and at one point, Brock and Misty were like, Ash is like fighting Lieutenant Surge, and Ash is like, I can't believe I'm struggling with this. And they're just like, we gave you your badges because we felt bad for you. You didn't earn either one of these. You've never earned a badge yet, Ash. That's why you're struggling.
Yeah. He's the best.
Anyways, but Legends is great because you either throw a Pokeball or you throw your Pokemon, and it's like it feels. I'm like, if this game is, it's like a PlayStation 2 though level of intelligence, like in the amount of like work that it's doing, and it's just like, Game Freak, what are you doing? Stop making another. Like they keep every year, every 4 years, 3 years, they're like, this is the new version, and we have a whole bunch of new Pokemon. Like, what are they? It's a couple birds and rats. Why did you make more birds and rats? This one's an engine. Okay. That doesn't make any sense. Yes, and he goes vroom vroom, and he turns into another one, which turns into a car. No, a bigger engine. Okay. Yeah. You guys are confusing.
Listen.
Yeah.
Are you listening? Listen.
Yeah.
It's not as bad as Digimon Evolution.
Oh, yeah. I just watched a video on that.
It's Digimon Evolution. You know what? I have a Digimon game, Digimon Cyber Sleuths.
I watched the show for a while.
Digimon Cyber Sleuths, and it is so much fun to evolve Digimon because you can de-evolve them. You can go backwards. And you can go anywhere, it seems like.
I don't like you. I'm going to make you worse.
Yeah, but you can go backwards, but then you go a different route. So, like, literally, you can, like, have this one Digimon, like, almost go through every permutation of Digimon. And it's weird, because you'll be like, all right, I am a lizard. I'm a lizard that stands on 2 legs. There are 4 options I can turn into. I can't tell what they are, because I haven't unlocked them yet. And I'm going to choose this one. And what is it? It's a pile of slime with wings.
Yeah.
It's not what I thought that was going to be. And then you like click on the next one. And this is a cat made out of yarn. What did this have to do with? Oh, nothing. It's got nothing to do with it. It just.
Isn't there like a T-Rex with guns?
Oh, yeah. There's like 8.
Is there one that's
there's like
just guns?
8 T-Rex with guns. Like, that's like most of them.
Yeah.
It's like a gun dragon.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Like, there's so many that are just like, it's like, hey, you know how you guys like bears? This bear is a robot, and he's got wings.
And a gun.
And he evolves into an even bigger bear with more wings. Not more guns, more wings.
More wings.
Aha.
So he can fly better.
But that to me is so crazy nonsensical that it works in its favor. Anyways. So we've talked about this for too much.
Speaking of evolution, what if you guys had gills?
What if we had gills that looked way too much like vaginas? They had to go back and digitally alter the movie to make them seem less like vaginas.
Now that's a fun fact.
That's right. We watched a movie, and because we just said all of those words, it could only be one movie, and that movie is Waterworld, which is a 1995 American post-apocalyptic action film directed by Kevin Reynolds and co-written by Peter Rader and David Twohy, maybe? So it's starring Kevin Costner, Dennis Hopper, Janine Triplehorn, Tina Majorina. That's not right.
Majorino.
Tina Majorino, and then Michael
What
Jeter.
a dope last name.
What's that?
What an awesome last name.
Yeah. 135 minutes long, $175 million budget. It made $264 million, or has made. I don't know if how Wikipedia wasn't clear. Or by wasn't clear, I mean, I could have looked at what site they sourced for that, but I couldn't be bothered. So how do you guys think this movie is sitting on Rotten Tomatoes?
So I know this was a flop, but I don't think it was a flop because it was bad. I think it was a flop because they spent too much money on it. And there was mathematically no way they were ever going to make money. I don't know how true that is, but I also, it's not world-endingly good.
No.
So I'm going to say 76.
All right, Craig, what do you think?
42%.
Okay, Craig has it 46. So
Craig,
Phil
I
was way
overshooting
the
it.
Off.
I thought I was overshooting it. I had a really good time though.
So I picked this movie, and the reason why I picked this movie.
Why'd you pick this?
Okay, is because I listened to. So I've always loved this movie, and every single time I tell people, "Oh, I love Waterworld," they're like, "What? That movie's the worst movie ever." And I'm like, "Oh, is it?" And then I find out later, that they've never seen it. Or they saw it once a long time ago on television and they don't really remember it. And I was like, so I've always been this weird Waterworld advocate in a weird way. I'm like, yeah, I love this movie. It's great. It's Mad Max on water. What's not to like? He gets gills. Yeah. That's strange, but whatever. And then I listened to I've talked about this podcast many times. What Went Wrong, and they talked about how this movie, because of how hard it was to make and because of how much money was spent and the reshoots and all this stuff, it had a reputation before it came out that it was going to be a disaster. So everyone just assumed that it was a disaster, and so they didn't even go and see it. And then it had a stink on it too, that everyone was like, they spent $175 million, and this is what they came up with, instead of going well, it's fine. I mean, it's
fucking fun.
It's fun. Yeah. It's not great. It does have a really Looney Tunes ending, where the main boss dies in the stupidest way imaginable. It's like a 12-year-old came up with this idea. But it's not horrible. And so I wanted to rewatch it again to see if if my memory of it being what it was is intact. And I have to tell you, it is exactly how I remembered it, which is to say, fine. It's absolutely fine. It's not great. If you want a post-apocalyptic movie, Mad Max is going to be better. But, I don't know if this is better than Beyond Thunderdome, though, because that movie was not good. So or worse than the first one. You've only seen Mad Max?
Well, and Fury Road. I haven't seen the Road Warrior.
You haven't seen Road Warrior? That's the one everybody saw.
I know.
Yeah. Nobody saw.
I saw the rough one.
Yeah. The thing that's interesting is Mad Max came out, and it was a hit in Australia, and so they were able to get more funding and make a bigger maybe. And so when it came to America, it was not called Mad Max Road Warrior. It was just called Road Warrior. And it wasn't like Mad Max 2. It was just like they did a little flashback at the very beginning of the movie to what happened in the first movie.
The Evil Dead 2'd.
Yes, exactly. And then they just kind of they made the rest. So everyone knew that movie, and nobody, because I remember watching the first Mad Max after when Fury Road was coming out and being like, oh, I got to see where it all started. And I was like, this is terrible. This is a bad student film. This is the movie and then I looked into it. It was oh yeah, it's because they made it on no budget, and it was sort of a proof of concept. type movie where it was like, hey, we could do this with the little money that we have. Imagine if you gave us a lot. That'd be pretty cool, right? Anyways,
Yeah.
so that's the history of a different movie.
So I had seen this movie, but it had been a really, really long time, and I probably watched it on TV, and it was one of those ones where, like, you're kind of in and out of the room, but I know I've seen it, and I remembered many of the parts of the movie. I liked it then, but then I think I went through the phase of, like, oh, everyone on Earth says this is a bad movie, so I don't like this movie anymore.
Yeah.
And then thinking about it more, and Jack's a really big fan of this movie. I was like,
yeah, I knew
is
I
that
liked.
bad?
I knew I liked Jack for some reason.
Yeah.
That must be it.
Yeah.
You could tell.
She was so glad you picked this movie. But then, like, on watching it again, I'm just like, this is like such a. I love it.
Yeah, it's
so like it's just so zany and fun, and just like unnecessary. And I love the world of like this weird like castaway punk.
Yeah.
You know, like it's not, there's like solar punk and diesel punk and all the different, this is like castaway punk at the beginning, and then it kind of shifts into like diesel punk of some sort.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's such a cool vibe. And I wish in another universe, this movie did just fine at the box office, or pretty good at the box office, and then spawned like an entire franchise, and I want to see that franchise. I want to see other movies in this world. I want to see an animated TV show is what I want.
Yeah.
Can you imagine what a current Waterworld, like a legacy sequel, nowadays would look like? It would look nothing like this because it would all be CGI.
Everything would be CGI. Yeah.
And it would cost even more money.
Which is why I want an animated TV series, an anthology series, stories of the what's their is it Drifters? Is that the like group that he belongs to? That isn't like really a group. They're just like people.
Oh
who
yeah.
drift from...
Where it's like there's like a drifter code where you have to like you have to like sup with a drifter, whatever they're called. I know he's the mariner. He's never named.
No, but like give me an anthology series, an animated anthology series of stories of that group, and like just different interactions of two drifters meeting or not meeting, or like whatever. That just sounds like such a cool idea, because this is such a fun little world that they created.
Just like a Monster of the Week kind of thing.
Yeah. I would probably not pay any money, but I would watch it if it was on a streaming service that I had.
I thought the small amount of world building they did in it was pretty interesting too. Like even the whole like big pit of like gross organic sludge, like being this like death sludge, but also like almost a religious thing. Where like from the sludge to the sludge, and that's like how they like grew all their plants, was this nasty slime.
It's all those like little the tiniest touches sometimes for me are like what make me latch on to something, and this is a movie I will now latch onto. It was so much fun.
I think one of my favorite little details was like they were like, oh, like at the very beginning they're like they see like menacing characters on the what was that? Oh, I thought Phil you were playing a drop. Never mind. I think somebody just hit something and it made a sound.
I hit my thing.
Oh, did you want me to play a drop?
My wife.
Was that? Were you asking? Because I thought you were asking me to play. Was it not that one?
No.
Oh.
He lost his train of
I'm
thought.
so discombobulated right now.
They saw the like menacing.
Oh yeah, they saw the menacing people on
get you back on track.
The horizon, and they're like, oh, smokers. And they like showed them, and they're like driving these like really diesel looking jet skis, and I'm like, oh, they're called smokers because they like use diesel smoke, you know?
Nope.
And then like, oh nope, it's because they all love cigarettes.
Yeah.
And I just was like, that is so dumb, but also like weird
It's
that
so
like
wonderful.
it's also like, yeah, and imagine you're a true chaotic character like Dennis Hopper, and you come across like a giant warehouse or something like that, a floating barge or something, just full of cigarettes in this world where cigarettes don't exist, and you like get a bunch of people hooked on cigarettes, and you're their only supply, and not like, that's not like the same as like giving people like heroin or something, but well, I guess it's better because people, you can't get a labor force of people on heroin. They can't really do anything.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? So like, he's like got this like big car. So like he drives around in his like car inside his ship, like throwing cigarettes everywhere. I mean, it doesn't hold up super well to scrutiny, but I don't know, that like weird.
But it doesn't need to.
That's the thing is, Caitlin and I were getting too in the weeds about that. We're like, why are there so many bullets? Why do they have all this stuff? It's been hundreds of years, and Will's just like, shut up, it's a movie.
Yeah, I hated watching the movie with you two. You two were insufferable the whole time. You're like, why would he do that? And I'm like, give it a second. And then they like explained it like 2 seconds later. I'm like, Jesus, guys, like, chill out.
This had a lot. Oh, I guess we could get to everyone's. Craig.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, I'm here too.
Yeah,
Are
you're
you?
here. You've said some words.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you had seen this before.
Yes.
I feel like a lot of people have this movie in their back pocket, and they kind of just forgot about it for 20 years.
Well, I think, like you said, most people saw this on TV at some point, but it was like you hear so many things about how bad it is, and so you're just kind of in and out. You're like, oh, that was kind of interesting action sequence. It's the whole dad standing in front of the TV but not sitting
The
down.
classic.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
The thing I do constantly.
Yes. So I think I had actually sat down and watched this on purpose at one point, and I honestly did not remember mostly anything from when I saw it. So it must have been like early high school at the very earliest. But I like it just fine. I think it fits in with all the usual 90s overblown action movies. Like there's really no difference besides, everyone had all that scrutiny like we've talked about because the budget went out of control, and there's the paparazzi swarmed the set the whole time, and but
wasn't Kevin Costner like going through a divorce as well?
Yeah,
the whole time.
Apparently, yeah, that's why
he was going through
such an asshole.
Yeah,
as a character.
Yeah, he he was apparently not super fun to work with on this one, but usually he's like a really professional. But that's the thing is, I was listening to that episode that you had recommended. He worked on this movie for so long. It was only supposed to be like a couple months shoot, and it went on for like most of a year, and then he was promoting it, and then the director quit in post-production, and so he had to take over all the editing and all that stuff with somebody else. So you can say a lot of things about him. I don't think he was super charismatic in this movie. He's mostly just grumpy. But I think there are plenty of other movies to show you that he is a good actor.
Yeah. The Mariner by far is my least favorite character in this because he is like, it is a product of the time, like this was in the I'll say this was in the water. That sort of like toxic masculine sort of like character of like I feel like Caitlin said something like, why is there a child in this movie at all? And I'm like, it's like, because it's the only way they knew how to show men as being caring and make it understandable. It's like, he's a total dick. It's like, yeah, that's so cool. And then he's like, well, he's not going to be a dick to a child. It's like, okay, so we have to make him likable somehow because the only way to be a man is to be the worst person you could think of. It's so like, I'm not like mad at this movie for doing that. I don't think it's winning any. It doesn't win any extra kudo like points for me for doing that. But like, it's not. It was just like how people made male characters at the time, especially heroes. Like, and so now it's like, oh yeah, I understand why like men are still struggling with like, the whole like, I don't understand why like you're not, rewarding me with sex. I didn't rape you earlier, so like I should be rewarded with sex for not raping you. That makes me a good guy. And you're just sort of like,
which it may sound like to somebody listening that you've brought in a wild example.
No, that's in the movie.
But that's in the movie.
That's in the movie.
That's straight up part of the movie.
Yeah, and
at least the first part.
Yes. He does get rewarded. See.
Yeah, that's the thing is he gets rewarded.
Yeah, and because. Yeah, and so anyways, all of that stuff I was just sort of like, well, this is garbage. Yeah, and he like sells her for like paper, and the guy's like, I got some paper, and he's like, oh yeah, you can have sex with this person.
Now, what I will say about that scene, I was under the impression watching it that he did that on purpose. Like he was never actually going to sell her for paper. He just wanted to look at the paper.
But didn't we see that he had a bunch of paper already?
Yeah, well, so I didn't read that. I read it as him going like, yeah, I'm going to sell her because I'm I'm going to show her. And then he like sat down with the paper and then he like stopped and he was like, am I that big of a dick though?
Maybe I'll just go down there and see
maybe
how it's
I'm
going
not.
and then maybe
also,
kill
there's
the
like
guy.
a little girl over there who's like trying to piece together what's happening right now, and it's kind of making me feel weird. So I maybe like in the light of my own actions, I'm gonna like reverse the terrible decision I just made, and I'll look like a hero.
And also, like the movie goes out of its way. They're like, well, we have to make this drifter guy irredeemable because he's gonna ask if he can have time with the girl too.
Yeah.
And,
yes.
Again,
it's got to be okay that we kill him.
Exactly.
But then and Craig, you just made that. You said something earlier about like later on he like opens up a trunk and it's just like full of paper, and you're just like, okay, so he's just a dick.
He's just a dick.
Like, why did you? Yeah.
So I think we can get into the general plot after this, but I just want to say, I
love you too.
I love you too. Yes, I love you. I have a lot of respect for this movie because it is so bananas, but they did it all. Like they did all the effects.
I mean, it doesn't feel unfinished. Yeah.
No. I mean, there's like the terrible sea monster CGI that they did, but otherwise, there's not a lot of special effects in there. He did a lot of his own stunts in the movie and paid for it in a lot of cases. It looks like being stuck on a mast during a storm and all this other crazy stuff. So,
no, thank you.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's
not like the water that much.
Yeah, no, the people on this movie really suffered, which is too bad. But I think at the end of the day, everyone is kind of proud of what they made.
Yeah, I saw a bunch of quotes from people who were a part of it, like Dennis Hopper, who was just like, I mean, it wasn't super fun and it's not a great movie, but like, damn, it's not the worst thing you've ever watched. Like, I think it's pretty good at parts. Like, why is everyone making such a big deal about this?
So which one of you wants to go through the plot on this?
I'll do it. So Kevin Costner plays the Mariner, drifter Batman archetype, who has been genetically mutated to have gills behind his ears, which I don't feel like that's where they'd be. They'd probably be where they are in The Boys. Anyone? The Deep?
Yeah.
He's
got
gills.
His neck. Oh, he's got them on the sides.
Yeah, where your lungs are, where the oxygen needs to
Are
be.
you sure that's where their lungs are, though?
What? Humans' lungs are.
But I mean, do you know that? Have you seen them?
No, you're right. He might have lungs where his brain should be. You're right.
Yeah.
My mistake, Phil. I didn't take into account
He's so
all these.
proud of himself.
Seriously. He's a mutant.
Okay.
His lungs could be anywhere.
So he goes to a town, or it's not a town. It's a like floating barge, I
Oh,
guess.
what do they call them? They call them atolls. Yeah,
Atoll.
you're a real
Atolls.
atoll.
Yeah, and he gets sort of mixed up in a couple of plots. He gets mixed up in this. There's this other group called the Smokers, run by Dennis Hopper, who are after this little girl who's got a tattoo of a map to dry land because the whole world is covered in water because history moved forward at the rate that we are currently moving.
Yes. This is a movie that is in our future.
This is in our future, yeah. So he gets mixed up and sort of like finds himself in the situation of having to protect this girl who has this map on her back. And that's the whole movie. More or less. They're just running away from the Smokers and they go to different places and they meet some fun characters and there's a lot of throwing children overboard.
That does happen quite a bit.
Yeah. And eventually Dennis Hopper steals the little girl. This is now we're in this spoiler town. And then the Mariner's like, I got to go save her because I'm a good guy now because that's the point of the movie where I become a good guy.
Yeah.
And the girl had sex with me, so I'm in a good mood. So he goes and he saves her and kills Dennis Hopper, and then they go to dry land because the map was real. Or just up. Yeah.
Here's a question. Do you guys think that Dennis Hopper and the Smokers would have actually figured out the map? Because I don't think they could have pieced it together because it took like this professor level guy a while just to figure it out himself.
Yeah.
You're asking me questions to like parts of the movie I was paying no attention to.
Okay. Well,
So the whole thing with she's got the tattoo. And I think they wouldn't have figured it out because the only way they figured it out is because the Mariner somehow knew that the poles reversed at some point.
Oh yeah.
So directions were backwards. That's not
the thing.
I think that's not how that works. However, I'm not a scientist.
Yeah, it's probably
so I can't
not.
tell you if the actual physical poles reversed, but also wouldn't everything still relative to itself and each other be exactly the same?
so
compasses.
Well, I guess
would
they're using
work
compasses,
right.
so it wouldn't
like,
work
you
right.
would.
Yeah. Okay. I'm
yeah.
there. I'm there.
Okay,
I'm
so
there. I'm in the
Santa
fiction.
is in the South Pole now in this world.
Yeah.
Yes.
Got it.
And
Yeah.
the penguins are in the North Pole.
What was I going to say? Doot, 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 boop, boop. Oh, so the thing with Kevin Costner's character, the Mariner, is that he has gills. So he keeps showing, like, he like makes his money selling artifacts. So it's like artifacts from the world before.
And dirt.
Yeah, and dirt. And like everyone's like, he's getting these. He must be getting these from somewhere, you know. And they assume he's getting them from dry land. He must know where dry land is. But what he reveals eventually is that he just can breathe underwater. So he goes straight down and takes things from the ground. And like the whole idea of like the world being covered with water, like people didn't realize that's what had happened, that there was like civilization underneath, you know? And so
Yeah.
it is sort of interesting. So like he does have like all this, he has like the cheat code to the world because he's going down and like finding maps and finding like things that were like that are very technologically advanced. So like maybe he read something somewhere, I don't know, that said like, hey, I think the poles are gonna, they're doing it now and I'm dying.
Yeah.
You know, like
he said
in all the
was-
video games you find.
Yeah.
Somewhere in there, he says he was trying to get somewhere that he knew was supposed to be somewhere, and it ended up being in the opposite direction. Or something like that.
Yeah.
I do want to say one thing. Fun fact, and by fun fact, I mean depressing and horrible. If all the glaciers in the world melted which they will, the sea level would rise approximately 70 meters. That's about 230 feet for imperial units. So it'd flood every coastal city in the world, but it would not flood the entire world. So fun,
so this movie's wrong.
Yeah, so this
you would
movie's
be okay.
unrealistic, and I hate it.
You would be okay, Phil.
Denver would be fine.
Yeah, you guys are way up there.
Yeah, we're a mile up.
So
we would be dry land. You'd be sailing to me.
So we're assuming that he is the next step in evolution for this world.
Right,
yeah.
If he were if there's not other people like him, then if he procreates, then the next group is just going to keep going.
So they called him a mutant.
Yeah.
So there have to be other mutants, right?
Yeah, it does sort
some
of
variety.
They've heard of mutants, so it makes it seem like they are. I don't know. It also comes from an era when everyone misunderstood how evolution works. You know, that's been one of my.
You mean the era we're still currently in for many folks?
Yes. Yep.
Sadly.
That's the one thing that I've always found very, very frustrating is everyone, and actually, what's made it worse is Pokémon. They're like, oh, so you just evolve into a bigger one of yourself? That's because they call it evolution in Pokemon. And it's no, it's not the same creature that evolves. It's not how it works. I wasn't a monkey. I didn't used to be a monkey and then turned into a man. It's yeah.
No, my grandfather wasn't a monkey.
Yeah, no one is arguing that. You just made that up and then knocked it down because it was stupid. Because you're actually stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can I ask you guys a question? I asked Jack this. Would you rather have gills or have wings?
Oh, that is a good question. Oh boy.
Then I do have a follow-up question depending on your answer.
How big are the wings?
So we talked about this, and I feel like they can't be realistically big in terms of because what would actually support a human, I think, is a 60-foot wingspan. So I'm not talking that. My imagination was gargoyle length, that wingspan.
Right.
But in a world where that could magically
work. And if I have gills, do I also have lungs?
Yes.
So
it'd be like in this movie.
In this movie, I'd have the vagina ears in this.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, they could be anywhere. They could be on your sides.
Yeah.
What's the name of that X-Men with wings?
Angel.
It is Angel. Okay, so is it like Angel?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or Archangel once they get covered in metal and he becomes one of the horsemen of the apocalypse.
Oh.
Didn't need to be said.
Yep.
Of course it did.
I would.
Well, so that's the follow-up question. We get gills or wings first.
Yep. Wings.
That's where I'm at.
Yeah,
Because
I really want to say gills.
You're a swim guy. I would be surprised if you didn't.
But there's literally nothing I could use it for.
So going underwater.
Yeah, but what am I doing down there?
Getting eaten by the numerous man-eating things.
There's a bunch of terrifying things down there. It's mostly slime and garbage these days.
Yeah, that's why I'm not picking it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. But if I could fly, then it's a means of traversal that is
but also
useful.
You can fall.
Well, yeah, but
so
water's got darkness. I can't see underwater too. Is that part of it?
That's a great point.
Do I swim faster? Am I a super fast swimmer? Like Kevin Costner's character? Or is it just the gills?
That was my imagination. Is you've got wings that can essentially magically let you fly.
I mean, if I live somewhere different, yes. But because I live in Michigan, I'm wings. Why would I? What would I?
Yeah.
If I lived in Waterworld, I'd be like, oh yeah, gills. Because
I think I'd still pick wings.
Where are you gonna land?
On the atolls. I'll be an albatross. I'll fly forever.
Yeah, I'll fly for a long time. You're gonna get tired. There are no birds in that.
Not if I'm an albatross. They can fly for months at a time.
Yeah, they're crazy.
Just riding on those heat ups. There's a better word. I don't know what it is.
I do love that everyone was like so disturbed by his flipper feet that were barely flippers. It really was just like they kind of filled in the space between his toes.
Yeah, his
very
melted
easily.
wax toes.
He had like melted wax, vaguely webbed toes.
And they're just like, oh my god, oh I can't look at them. Oh god,
Oh, you're so disgusting. Put your ski boots back on.
Do you think when they went to have sex, he was like, all right, just put your eggs here and I will fertilize them? And she was like, what?
100%.
And he's like, don't you put your eggs down and then I put my seed all over them and that's sex. Why, wait, what did you want to do?
Yeah, 100% that's what happened. That's canon.
I betcha. That'd be
That
cool.
has to be canon.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
The not catamaran, the trimaran. What do you call it?
Trimaran.
It is trimaran. Okay, so that was like a fully functional trimaran, which is pretty cool. That he
Nice.
was piloting.
It was pretty cool.
I mean, everything is just like they built like that atoll cost so much money to build.
Yeah.
But they built it. Like they did the work. They didn't cut any corners. I'm just saying they don't make movies like this anymore, and that should be appreciated. And
Yeah.
did everything go wrong? Yeah. Did they have to spend all the money on all these things? No, but
I'm glad they did.
yeah.
I'm glad they did. This movie deserves recognition.
Yeah.
For the things that it did good.
And honestly,
things it did well.
It has a unique and interesting legacy in the form of the Waterworld live show.
Yeah.
That is still running. Is it still running?
So
yeah, we talked about this. I think it's still.
Yeah, not only is it still running, because it's been at Hollywood for 30 years now. It was so popular they opened it in 2 other theme parks around the world, and it's massively popular there too. So I probably saw it at some point, or no, it's not in Florida. So yeah, I guess I haven't seen it. But yeah, I'd like to watch a video of it.
Yeah, that was the 2 most disappointing thing. The 2 most disappointing things was when I went to Universal Studios. Was realizing that they didn't have the Waterworld stunt show and that the Jaws ride had closed down a few years earlier.
Oh, man, that's too bad.
And I was like, aw.
That was a good one.
Jaws ride. I wanted to feel weird about robotic sharks underwater. Darn it.
So
like weird sexual?
No, just something about like robots being underwater just sort of is like feels wrong.
Unnerving.
And also like just like I feel like that shouldn't exist, because like water rusts metal. Just seems like a nightmare.
If you guys were to give this movie a rating, what would you give it?
Oh wow, are we really there?
I mean, it's been a while. Yeah, we kind of spent a lot of time on the recommends. Damn.
Wow, you had that one.
Yeah. Will, do you wanna go first?
Yeah. So the nostalgic side of me wants to give this a 5 out of 5, and also to f all you people who ever told me it was a bad movie.
Right.
But that's also just like not true. There's a lot of problematic stuff, and it is at the end of the day an incredibly dumb movie. But that being said, it does what it's trying to do well, and it's like. So I'm going to give this movie a 4.5. Our introduction to the hero is him urinating into a glass and then drinking it out of 5. Sort of sets the stage for the whole movie.
Yeah. Castaway Punk.
All right, Phil, what you got?
I am going to stick with Will's number. I like Will's choice of number. I'm going to give this a 4.5. We've got Waterworld. We've got Earthworld, which is Mad Max. We've got Fireworld, which I think maybe is Reign of Fire.
Yeah.
In like and then I don't know what Airworld is. Is it Sky Captain in the World of Tomorrow?
Maybe.
I've never seen that, so we're going to say it is.
Plant World? Avatar.
Avatar.
Yeah.
Metal World? Wow. See, I don't. I, see,
What
it
was the
starts to fall
movie
apart.
what was the movie with like the
Woodworld.
the giant battling like? Oh man, there was
Real
this.
Steel?
No, it wasn't Real Steel. It was like continental sized ship sized like land things. Oh man,
Oh.
what was that?
Jack and I watched this where it's like a city.
Yeah, it's like a city, but the city is also a
Mortal
tank.
Engines.
Mortal Engines.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that movie.
That's
I just
Metal World.
know that stupid name.
Yeah.
So
Craig, go ahead.
I'm gonna go a little lower.
Incorrect.
But I'm
Try
gonna
again.
go a little higher than I would have gone, and I'm gonna do 4 out of 5. Captain Joe Hazelwoods.
Oh yeah, Saint Joe. I love
Saint Joe.
that too.
So
we
that's
all
a
love
real
Saint Joe.
person.
Is it really?
Yeah, that is the captain of the Exxon Valdez. I don't know.
Oh yeah, at the end of the movie, the boat that they've been on
Is the Exxon Valdez.
is the Exxon Valdez.
Which caused the 1989 oil spill.
Yeah. That seems in really bad taste.
Yeah, it does. That was probably the funniest part of the movie. And can I say, after watching Blue Velvet, Dennis Hopper was not scary in this movie at all.
No. But I also Googled afterwards, has he ever played a good guy? And it's not really an easy question to answer.
Oh yeah.
And I like that about him. I also, Google said he was a Hollywood bad boy. And I also like that about him.
Yeah, I Dennis Hopper is one of those people who I'm not really sure what he's like. If I'm being honest, I'm like, what is he famous for? Like, he's got to be famous for the things that I don't know. And then I'm like, oh no, he's famous for the things that I know him for. I guess he's always just playing the crazy man, you know?
Yeah.
Because like he was the bad guy in Speed.
Yep.
Yeah.
It says he was in Apocalypse Now, but I don't remember.
Yeah, he
him
was
being
the
in that.
reporter.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen that movie in a long time. And then, of course, Easy Rider, which I have also not seen, but
It's good.
I've heard that.
Yeah.
All right. So
That was Waterworld.
Yeah, that was Waterworld.
Willip, it's your turn, right?
Nope.
I just picked the movie.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Woo!
Could not be
It's been a
further
long
from my
day.
turn.
Listen, let's try that again. Craig. So that was Waterworld. It's your turn next. What movie are you picking? I definitely knew it was you the whole time.
Yes, exactly. So we have a holiday coming up, and we've had Halloween
Valentine's Day.
movies, we've had Christmas movies, but we really haven't gone out of our way to do movies about other holidays. And I wanted to do a St. Patrick's Day.
Oh my gosh. We're watching Luck of the Irish.
That was what I was going to say.
Oh no, I haven't seen that one.
Oh.
But I'm not thinking
You
that
haven't
one.
seen the made-for-TV Disney movie?
Yeah,
Luck of the Irish?
no, I have not. But the
It's got
Lassie's in
the
it.
guy who plays Lassiter in
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
We are going to be watching one of my favorite Norland family movies, and if anyone's been listening to the pod for a while, that means a movie that my dad really likes, and we watched it for like every year. And I was convinced no one else had seen it, and then Caitlin said she had watched it, so that checks out.
My wife and Craig share a childhood.
Yeah.
Like literally is the exact same like cultural touch points. It's eerie and off-putting, and I don't like it.
I love it. Personally.
Did I say what the movie was yet? I don't remember anymore.
No.
Not yet.
Okay,
No.
so we were going to be watching Waking Ned Divine.
Yeah.
It is a very small movie. A lot of you've probably
Mhm.
not heard of it. It's not exactly super well known, but it's about a community that tries to fool the lottery board that Ned Devine, who had just passed away, is still alive and well, so they can all claim the money for the town and all the hijinks that ensue for it. So I'm really excited.
Yeah, it's a very goofy movie. It's a very silly movie. It's also like it's like very low budgety sort of. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's I remember really enjoying it. I've only seen it the one time when Caitlin showed it to me years ago, so I'm excited for
we were
this.
going, so a little bit of whiplash because we were going from extreme excess to extremely small budget. Very small
Awesome.
stories, small stakes. So that'll be next week.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whoop, whoop.
Thank you for liking and subscribing to the podcast. We're on Instagram and Facebook. If you want to tell us if you would have either wings or gills, what would you prefer?
Yes, and then my secondary question was what type of wings, but we didn't get there. Mine would be gargoyle wings, like from the TV show Gargoyles.
Yes.
But not human skin colored because that'd be
Ugh.
fucking
Oh,
horrifying.
God, no.
Anyways, continue, Will.
All right. All right. So this episode was brought to you by, and I'm just going to, this one was brought to you by Brad Barr because I'm pretty sure the very first time I saw this movie was at his house. And I don't think I had ever seen Mad Max before. So like when I saw this, I had no idea it was a Mad Max ripoff. So it was my Mad Max.
Yeah.
Anyways.
It's a wet Mad Max.
Yeah, it was a wet Mad Max, which to me is a much better Mad Max, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Max should be wet.
He should be wet.
Maximum wet.
So if you're interested in hearing your name and shouted out on the podcast and want to help support us, consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/Mumble and Shrug.
If you like what you heard, consider leaving a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, or write it on a piece of paper and leave it. And then in a couple 100 years, somebody will find it underwater and they will be a fish person and they will not be able to listen to our podcast, but they'll think, oh, maybe that was a good podcast. So,
incidentally, your review should say the polls have been reversed.
yes, please let them know the polls have been
that
reversed.
should be
It's
the
a
first thing.
matter of life and death
For finding
for
Dryland.
everyone. Yeah. That's all for this episode. I'm Phil Kessel.
I'm Will Chotis.
And I'm Craig Norland.
Adios, cousins.
Yeah, the three-way explosion with the bungee cord grabbing the little girl and flying up into the air. I was like, that sucked. Everything else was cool. That really sucked. That was so dumb.
Alternatively, I was going to go with nothing like a good smoke if you miss your mom.
That's true. Yeah, there is nothing like a good smoke if you miss your mom.
That was a pretty good line.
That probably hit a lot harder from like boomers whose parents would like chain smoke like hundreds of cigarettes a day. Like that's why my dad never smoked and hates cigarettes. It's because like he had so many memories of like car trips where both his parents just like hot boxing their children with cigarettes in the back, and he's just disgusting. Yeah. Anywho.
Waterworld rules.
Yeah, it was pretty good. All right. Brought to you by Mumble and Shrug Productions.